The village of Hollow Creek was small, silent, and shrouded in secrets. The villagers kept to themselves, their lives governed by the rhythms of the earth and the ever-present forest that bordered their lives. Among them lived an old man, known only as Silas, who resided in a ramshackle cottage at the edge of the woods. Silas was an enigma, a figure of whispers and speculation. He kept to himself, venturing into the village only for necessities, his eyes like dark pools reflecting some unknown depth. Every night, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Silas would emerge from his cottage. He always carried a weathered lantern, its orange glow a lone beacon against the encroaching darkness. He would then disappear into the forest, his silhouette swallowed by the looming trees, leaving the villagers to wonder about his solitary journeys. Some whispered of ancient pacts and forgotten gods, their voices hushed as if the forest itself could hear their words. Others spoke of a darkness that clung to Silas, a darkness that seeped from the woods and into their dreams. Whatever the truth, fear and fascination intertwined around Silas like the ivy that choked the trees in the surrounding woods. He was a living ghost story, a reminder that some secrets were best left undisturbed. Emma, a young woman with eyes that shone with intelligence and a spirit as bright as the morning sun, had recently arrived in Hollow Creek. Drawn by the promise of peace and quiet, she found herself captivated by the stories surrounding Silas. Unlike the other villagers who avoided any mention of the old man, Emma was consumed by curiosity. She yearned to understand the mystery that cloaked him, to unravel the truth behind the whispers. As days turned into weeks, Emma's curiosity grew stronger. She would often find herself at her window as dusk settled, her gaze drawn to the edge of the forest, waiting for Silas to emerge. She listened intently to the hushed conversations in the village, piecing together fragments of information about his nightly rituals. The more she learned, the more determined she became to uncover the truth. One evening, as the sky bled into hues of orange and purple, Emma made a decision. Silas emerged from his cottage, lantern in hand, his shadow stretching long and thin across the ground. With a heart pounding in her chest, Emma slipped out of her own home and began to follow him, her footsteps silent on the soft earth. The forest welcomed Emma with an unnerving silence. The air grew thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. She followed Silas's flickering lantern from a distance, careful to remain unseen. The trees, gnarled and ancient, loomed over her like silent sentinels, their branches intertwining to form a canopy that blotted out the last vestiges of daylight. The deeper Emma ventured into the woods, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. She felt a constant prickling sensation on the back of her neck, as if she were being watched by unseen eyes. Strange sounds filtered through the undergrowth, the rustle of leaves, the snap of a twig, the distant hoot of an owl, each noise sending shivers down her spine. Despite her growing unease, Emma pressed onward, her determination fueled by a potent mix of curiosity and a strange sense of urgency. She couldn't explain it, but she felt that she was on the verge of uncovering something significant, something that would change her understanding of Hollow Creek forever. After what felt like an eternity, Silas emerged into a small clearing. The trees here were less imposing, their branches reaching towards the sky like skeletal fingers. In the center of the glade stood a moss-covered stone, its surface etched with strange symbols that seemed to writhe in the flickering lantern light. Silas set his lantern down beside the stone, its glow illuminating the clearing in a pool of eerie light. He then began to move, his movements slow and deliberate, his voice a low, guttural chant that echoed through the silent woods. Emma watched from the shadows, her breath catching in her throat as she witnessed the scene unfolding before her. Silas retrieved a small leather-bound book from his cloak and began to read aloud in a language that Emma didn't recognize. As he spoke, the air grew heavy, charged with an unseen energy. Emma felt a cold dread creep into her heart, a primal fear that warned her to turn back, to flee while she still had the chance. But it was too late. As if sensing her presence, Silas stopped chanting and turned towards her hiding place. The lantern light glinted off his eyes, revealing a depth of darkness that sent a chill down Emma's spine. She tried to move, to melt back into the shadows, but her feet felt rooted to the spot. A low growl echoed through the clearing, not from Silas, but from something else, something ancient and hungry that lurked just beyond the circle of lantern light. The shadows themselves seemed to writhe and coil, taking on a life of their own. They surged towards Emma, engulfing her in a wave of icy darkness. Emma screamed, her voice swallowed by the shadows. She thrashed against their grip, but it was futile. They tightened around her, crushing her with their suffocating embrace. Then, as quickly as it had begun, the attack ceased. The shadows receded, leaving Emma lying on the forest floor, her body trembling, her mind reeling from the encounter. When dawn broke over Hollow Creek, Emma was gone. Her disappearance sent a ripple of fear and confusion through the village. Search parties were formed, their lanterns cutting through the morning mist as they combed the forest for any sign of the missing woman. Days turned into weeks, but the search yielded nothing. Emma had vanished without a trace. Suspicion naturally fell upon Silas. The villagers, their fear emboldened by Emma's disappearance, descended upon his cottage. They found it empty, the fire cold, the old man's belongings undisturbed. Silas, like Emma, had vanished. The villagers returned to Hollow Creek, their hearts heavy with a sense of dread that they couldn't shake. Emma was gone, taken by something sinister that lurked in the depths of the forest. And Silas, the enigmatic old man, had disappeared, leaving behind more questions than answers. Life in Hollow Creek resumed its usual rhythm, but the fear lingered. The villagers avoided the forest after dark, their laughter hushed, their eyes constantly darting towards the shadows. The stories about Silas took on a new, more sinister tone. He was no longer an eccentric recluse, but a harbinger of darkness, a conduit to something ancient and evil that slumbered beneath the trees. As for Emma, she was never forgotten. Her name became a whisper in the wind, a cautionary tale told to warn children away from the woods. Some whispered that she was still out there, lost in the endless maze of trees, her spirit forever bound to the entity that had taken her. Others believed that she had found peace, her soul absorbed into the very fabric of the forest, her memory a gentle breeze rustling through the leaves. Whatever the truth, Emma's disappearance had left an indelible mark on Hollow Creek, a chilling reminder that some secrets were best left buried beneath the earth. In the years that followed, the forest surrounding Hollow Creek remained a place of fear and uncertainty. The villagers avoided it whenever possible, their lives forever touched by the darkness that had claimed Emma. The glade where Silas had performed his nightly rituals became a place of legend, shunned by all who knew its secrets. And Silas, the old man of Hollow Creek, was never seen again. Some believed that he had met his end in the forest, consumed by the very forces he had sought to control. Others whispered that he was still out there, watching from the shadows, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to stumble upon his path. But the truth, like so many things in Hollow Creek, remained elusive, shrouded in the same silence that had swallowed Emma's screams. The village endured, but it was a haunted existence, forever marked by the chilling reminder that some things are best left undisturbed, hidden in the shadows where they belong. For in the heart of Hollow Creek, the forest held its secrets close, and the silence whispered of things unseen and unknowable.